And we're live. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for today's Dev Chats. Today, we're going to be talking to our friend Nick here, who's going to show us how we can start adding Stripe to our ReactJS application. So really excited about it. My name is Cecil Phillip, and with me, I have my teammate, Charles. And again, like I said, we have Nick. So Nick, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself really quickly and let folks know who you are and what do you do?
What up? What up? Thank you for having me. My name is Nick. Right now, I'm a developer experience engineer over at Prismic. I am also an open source maintainer with my first library being Use Shopping Cart. It handles all of your shopping cart state and logic for and runs you right up to Stripe checkout. Also, if you've been following me for a while on Twitter, you would know that I'm also unpaid CTO of Black Tech Pipeline, which is my fiance's business. Black Tech Pipeline is a platform for helping to get Black technologists into job opportunities.
So Nick, we gotta talk about that, man, because we gotta get you paid, brother. Like you've been unpaid for too long, man. It's 2022. We gotta fix that.
I know. I'm working on it. I think honestly, this is gonna be the year. This is gonna be the year. And I'll share more about that. I have a blog post. I wrote about it and everything.
Okay, so there's a plan. Like there's a rollout.
There's a plan.
Strategy.
There's a plan for sure.
Okay. Because I want to see Caribbean people get paid, man. Like we can't be doing work.
We can't be doing that. Yeah.
All right.
I got you. I'm gonna make sure it happens for you.
Cool, man. And then while we're doing that too, thank you for everyone that's watching us right now. I know we have a bunch of folks from all across the world that are watching us. Wherever you are, why don't you go ahead and in the chats and the comments, go ahead and let us know where it is that you're watching from, where you from, what country you're in. Because it's always great to kind of know where the community is coming from, right? And know the different types of folks we're talking to. Now, before we actually get started, Charles, I think you're going to show us some community highlights, right? We're going to swap over and check out some cool stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So we got some updates here. So my screen's up, right?
Okay. Yeah, your screen's up. Yeah.
So first and foremost,
before you do that, control plus that like real quick. It's a little tiny.
You say it's a little bit. Let me enhance.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
There we go. Cool. So first thing to know, if you're using Stripe.js and if you're using Elements, if you're more likely than not, you are using Stripe.js, please know that if you're using IE 11 with Stripe.js, starting on March 31st, so the end of this month, it will no longer be required. So for the sake of security, we don't support those browsers anymore. So keep that in mind if you're using IE 11 and Stripe.js. So my colleague Matthew Ling, who's also a developer advocate, and Sia, who is a Stripe expert, did an awesome series on building a Jamstack store with Netlify and Stripe. So check that out. There are 2 episodes. If you're interested in learning how to automate tax collection with Stripe Tax is out, and we have an awesome short video on how to get started. And then finally, as always, we have our monthly developer digest. March's version is not out yet, but if you haven't caught February, you can catch it on dev.to. We have a bunch of content about new Stripe checkout features, dashboard updates, and some updates to our various client SDKs. So definitely check that out. And by the way, if you haven't subscribed to the Dev Digest, you can go to this Dev.to post or any Dev.to post related to the Dev Digest and sign up for that dev content so that you can figure out what all the new ships are and all the new features are.
That's awesome. And that, what you're talking about just now about Stripe tax, it just reminded me, like, I haven't done taxes yet. I need to go take care of that real quick.
Same.
I just hate doing taxes, man. It's like, do you know anyone that ever says, "Oh, I'm really excited about doing taxes"? Like, that's never a thing that people say.
Only the people.
Hold up. I love doing taxes.
Stop playing. What? You don't like doing taxes.
Okay, so
no, you don't.
True story. When I was like 13, 14, one of my side hustles was to, like, I got TurboTax and I just started doing people's taxes, man. Like I did. I was like that 13-year-old. I was like,
where are those people now?
No one got audited, so
I feel you.
Did a good job.
I feel you. Okay. I'm just saying. I personally am
All
not a fan of doing taxes. I'm not tax shaming anybody. I'm just saying me personally.
Actually,
I just I don't want to tax shame anybody. I'm not a taxer. I don't like doing taxes. Just looking in the chat real quick. So it looks like we got a couple of folks here. You have Marvin from Germany. So definitely shout out to Marvin real quick. We got folks here from Idaho, Boise, Idaho. And Nick, looks like there's this gentleman here.
Yes.
His name's Alex. You know Alex? Says shout out to 100 Devs.
Yeah, shout out. So 100 Devs is it's a free online boot camp that's streamed on Twitch twice a week. It's actually being ran by the man who taught me and my fiance how to code. And so his goal is to put out this free full stack web development course to get people jobs. And so this was kind of a response to like the pandemic, and it's been going strong. If you look up the 100 Devs hashtag on Twitter, it is absolutely blowing up like every day. There's all kinds of stuff going on. So what's up, Alex? It's good to see you here.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, and actually, I actually want to hear some more about that. So Alex, maybe me and you can have a conversation. Or maybe Nick, I could talk to you about this later. But it sounds like something cool we could dive into a little bit more. All right. So now is the moment, right? Now, Nick, this is your show, right?
Okay.
So now we want to talk about your extension. It's called Use Shopping Cart.
Yes.
And my understanding is it's a ReactJS extension plugin library, I guess you could call it.
Yeah, it's a small library. Yeah.
Yeah, but the goal is to help us build apps with Stripe a lot easier if you're using React, right? Is that right?
That is correct. Actually, so I just want to say that, yes. Mm-hmm. But, I do have future plans. I redid the library with Redux in the hopes that it could be available for other popular front-end frameworks as well. But right now, the integration is really tight with React, especially because Redux works so well with React already. I still got to figure out the rest of that journey. But yes, it handles like your shopping cart state and logic, and just kind of prepares you to go straight to Stripe checkout, so you don't have to worry about all that stuff on your own.
Oh, that's perfect. So one thing I want to know then is like, how did you even decide to build this? Like, what was the inspiration? Like, did you always plan on building an open source library, or was this like something for your job that you started working on and now it just became a thing?
Yeah. So to be honest, I never in my life had ever thought I would be an open source person at all. Like no contribution, no nothing. So let alone a maintainer, right? Mm-hmm. I guess there's a few things that got me here. And so the first one was, so I'm a competitive gamer. I play Tekken competitively, and I've traveled the world for tournaments. I've done tournaments in Thailand, really? Scotland, Denmark, all over the US. Oh, wow. I was very serious about this stuff. Mm-hmm. And so my first coding project ever was a React Native app for the Tekken community. And I had over 30,000 users. And so I think at that point, I was thinking about things, and I'm like, yo, it's time to capitalize on this. Like, I need to start getting t-shirts or some kind of merch store or whatever. And I was looking at the options like, Shopify and all them other store builder type things. And I don't know, as a dev, as being ignorant, I was like, you know what? I bet I could roll my own thing. This will be no problem at all.
Right.
And I quickly learned how painful it is to roll your own e-commerce experience. And so Stripe was always there, right? Like the payment part itself, easy. But then I didn't think through, like, shopping cart logic is so much harder than you would think. And so much, it's like a lot of sophistication there that you wouldn't really think about. So so there's a whole long story of me. So as I was working on this, instead of just focusing on getting that store launched, like I started feeling this kind of inspired to make something that made it really easy to launch e-commerce stores effortlessly. And so what I did was at first was look at Gatsby and how they pulled in data and all that stuff. So I built like this whole Gatsby theme that pulls in Stripe data. It had its own shopping cart thing, whatever. I did all kinds of stuff. It was wild. And I noticed feedback from people in the Gatsby community, or like not even the Gatsby community. They were like, hey, can I just get the shopping cart itself? Like, all the Gatsby stuff is cool and all this other thing, but we just want the shopping cart. And so that's when it made sense for me to roll it into its own like hooks library, which I didn't know how to make a library at the time. So this, like, just working on this thing has been such a growth thing for me. Use Stripe Cart is actually, someone in the comments that asked use Stripe Cart. It's called Use Shopping Cart. Use Stripe Cart is what I named it at first.
Okay.
But yeah, that's more or less it. There's like a lot of weird things in between. Like there was also somebody else. There's this guy I know who wanted to get an e-commerce store up and running, and like he just, you know, there's a community of people that don't really it's weird to say they don't like technology. They don't want to go and learn how to use Shopify. They just kind of want things to be easy to just kind of spin up. And so what I was hoping to do for him was at least let him make products on the Stripe dashboard, and then it would spit out a website or whatever. So this is a whole bunch of stuff that I still want to solve these problems.
Yeah.
But I figured the first step was at least having like this smaller library to just make it easier to get the development out the way.
Got it. So this kind of sounds like this is the beginning of a bigger vision that you have for the future. But for now, we're starting with the library. And then after that, like as you get time and hopefully some more contributors too, because it's open source and it's on GitHub.
Yeah.
As you get more contributors to it, like they'll be able to help you kind of push it to where you think it could go.
That is exactly. I'm really glad you said that. You're the first person to ever like actually just say that without talking to me for too long. But yes, at the end of the day, like I don't think e-commerce is accessible enough, and there's just a lot of issues that I see with on-ramping people. Like how do we get the most, oh man, I don't know. I don't want to say like non-technical. I feel weird, but like, I forgot who it was that I was talking to about this. Was it you, Charles? You said like pedestrian level.
Yeah. I
was
don't know
you.
if I use that exact word.
That was you. No.
Yeah.
The way you phrased that term like changed my whole perspective. You said pedestrian level, right? Like, so you could talk to all these people. You can go on the street and start talking to them about Stripe or Shopify. And not everyone even knows these things exist. In our world, these are massive things, right? But, you know, to the pedestrian level person, like they're like, what is that, right? And so, and I feel like we as developers in the e-commerce space don't do enough to make it easy for even them to just straight up launch stuff. And so that's kind of where I want, the end goal ultimately would be something that like making it as easy as possible to get those online storefronts, making it for anybody, just about anybody can launch whatever. And so Use Shopping Cart is definitely like my first step towards that. You know, I do have like a list of other things, priorities and tasks to take me further and further into that direction of having like a full solution that's open source. I think that's the really important part, is that it's open source. It's not like these things don't exist. If someone really wanted to launch something, they can figure it out and they will. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I got it.
Yeah, definitely.
So we talked a little bit about like why you built it and then some of the things you want to do in the future. Why don't we switch over to your screen and take a look at what you have now? I'm like, I don't know, like, how do you use it? Like, how do you set it up? Like, how does this thing work?
So right now, here, do I need to zoom in at all, or?
You should be fine for now. If you need to zoom in later, I'll let you know. Yeah,
so this is the shopping cart. Shout outs to Chris Tragg. I don't know how, but he got me this logo.
Nice.
But yeah, this is the library, right? And so, you know, from a very high level perspective, you know, you have your sort of cart provider. It wraps around your app. This is where you can set things, like if you're collecting the billing address, what countries you're available in, and like what cart mode. So like client mode is if you don't have a backend and you're using Stripe's dashboard. And then there's serverless or checkout mode. Checkout mode is when you're using a separate backend or your data is coming from somewhere else other than Stripe. Right. That's available. And that actually, to be honest, that's what this library is kind of made for. Like the preferred use is like a serverless type setup. Okay. But you know, the options are yours. then it just kind of walks you through, like, this is just the landing page, by the way. It just kind of walks you through what your product's objects should look like. I don't know why I've defaulted to always using bananas as an example. That's just a thing I do.
I guess you like bananas, man.
I do. And then from here, you get to focus on just your front end. So, you can import use shopping cart. We have this function called format currency string that handles the currency formatting for you, because that, even something like that, something as tiny as that, is really annoying. So here we have like a Netlify serverless function. This is specifically for checkout mode, I believe. And this is the old way. I should update this. But this is the old way of handling checkout with Stripe, where before y'all had the URL come back, you had to use the session ID. You send that to the front end, and then it triggers redirect to checkout. So that's all this function is here. And then this is your front end showing whatever information before purchase, your little buy now button. And then this looks really wild. I'm sorry. I really hate showing a lot of code when I present things, to be honest. But we have this function called validate cart items. And so what that does is, so let's say in a situation where you have your website, your e-commerce site up, a malicious user could change the numbers on the front end, and those will get passed in, so they could basically pay whatever price they want. And so what validate cart items is supposed to do is refer to like an original source of truth for your product data and like the prices and stuff, and it maps them correctly based on what got sent to the back end.
Oh, nice.
And so so it's kind of weird because this is a front end library. It doesn't actually do anything on the server side. However, we have this helper function there specifically to handle something on the server.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's pretty important. Like, I just want to call something out. Like, one of the things that like people don't really think about too much is like those types of decisions. And so it's super cool that you have a validate function, because occasionally, unless you're like a donations platform, you should not be trusting a client.
Yeah.
Occasionally, people will be like, yeah, I'll just let people set the amount. No, unless you want to be a donations platform, or you are a donations platform, you definitely got to be validating, or, setting stuff on the amounts on the server. So
you're totally right. It's actually something I didn't know was a thing until I'd made the library. I think I got a lot of help. Shout outs to Jason Langsdorff. He's been a big inspiration for a lot of things I end up building or doing. And so he had he helped with one of the Stripe checkout examples. And he rolled his own little validate cart items. I'm pretty sure I copy and pasted that or something, like some part of that is like belongs to him. And so now it's in the library, but again, like no one thinks about these kinds of things. Like you would never assume that like someone can simply change something on the front end and then end up paying less. Like naturally, I just wouldn't think that. And so just getting that kind of awareness, I felt like it was important to include a helper for that thing in particular.
Yeah, I think that's important. And I kind of like the point that you brought up was, someone thought about this thing and then contributed back to you. So now like your library, and then everyone that uses like the up-to-date version of your library just automatically gets that functionality like out of the box.
Yeah, exactly. I literally copied and pasted his thing. I told him that. I messaged him too. I'm like, by the way, I'm copying and pasting this from your Stripe example already in their repos. And this is in the library now. So thanks.
That's awesome. Have you had a lot of other folks that have come with suggestions or ideas that have you maybe turned into issues or turned into actual features that are in your library right now?
Yeah. So there's been a bunch of little things. I'm trying to think of them. So I off the top of my head, I can think about the really big ones, right? Like, so the biggest one was probably somebody asking if they can use this with a basic HTML and JavaScript website. And I felt really bad. I said no. And so that's pretty much why I ended up redoing it with Redux. because then it was like, because there's a lot of people who would benefit from just straight up shopping cart logic, and they have to be a React developer to take advantage of it, you know?
Yeah.
So, oh, go ahead.
No, I was just thinking as you were talking. So your library has nothing to do with UI per se.
No.
Right? Like, so there's no cart element, anything. So it's all function. It's like a functional library, right? It's not a UI component library. It's all functional operations, but it does just help you, like you said, manage the state of what's in your shopping cart, right?
Yep.
Hence, use shopping cart, and making sure that it's validated and that it's ready to go to send back to Stripe so it could get processed.
Exactly. That's exactly it. So we do have things that assist with the UI, like obviously the data, right? But then, you know, we have things like cart count, and then functions specifically for like what happens if you click on the cart, whatever's supposed to pull up the cart data and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I've gotten little like bits of feedback on certain things. Like, you know, some people ask for certain events, like when a cart opens, when you're supposed to show a cart, like, can we get, this is actually something I have to do. I have yet to do it, but like somebody wanted a sort of timer. Like, you know how sometimes you add something in a cart and then there's like a toast.
Sure. And there's like a session and it says I'm going to hold this ticket for you for like 10 minutes.
Yeah. And then it just goes, like stuff like that. Right. Like, yeah. Or even something to even simpler, like you just added something to your cart and then it just goes away. So like someone asked for like a timer, and that technically, like, that doesn't really have to do with the shopping cart itself or the data that gets sent to Stripe, but it's like a UI. It's data for the UI.
Okay. Makes sense.
So yeah, there's that kind of suggestion. And then my very first issue ever, as soon as I launched the library, somebody asked for TypeScript support, and I didn't.
Of course they did.
I don't even think they needed the library. Nope. They just found it and just so that was my introduction to TypeScript. And I didn't redo it in TypeScript. I just made types to support it.
Yeah.
But now I actually kind of know TypeScript, so it might make sense to go back and refactor at some point. But yeah, I
feel like a lot of folks, more so now than before, are like trying to adopt TypeScript. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know whenever Angular 2, I think it was, way back whenever that came out, converted to like building in TypeScript, everyone was like, oh, TypeScript is cool now, right? But then I think that was like a big moment, because from then on going forward, I feel like a lot of other folks started to build their libraries and add more TypeScript support to like a lot of the other projects that they've been doing. And so now everyone is just like, oh, but does it support TypeScript? You know?
Yeah. So so I literally just learned TypeScript. Like, right at my job, I just launched another library. Actually, we announced it today. It's an integration between Prismic and Next.js. And I wrote that whole thing in TypeScript. And it's until you do something like that, you won't really appreciate it. You know, like, I understood the value of TypeScript as far as like being able to see the types and
like the properties and the methods and
that was really nice. But then also building in it and having to do a couple more advanced things, like you're basically setting up your library in a way that it's almost really, it's really hard to make mistakes. I'm very hesitant to say that because I make mistakes all the time, but like it's just way harder to make mistakes that way. I also love that you can just learn about an entire library's API without even having to go to the website. You could like do it offline almost, you know?
Yeah. It's like kind of random, but like over the weekend. So Stripe used to use Flow. Like back in the day, it was like you had one or two options. It was like Flow or TypeScript. And for whatever reason, we chose Flow. But I think I saw a tweet from someone in a company that said like over the weekend, the team migrated like 3 million lines from Flow to TypeScript.
Ooh. Yeah, over the weekend. Wow.
Yeah, so pour one out for them. They did a great job. I don't know how they did it, but that's
kudos to them. That's a lot of work.
Once you do something like that, you are an expert. Like nobody is seeing you.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So what are we looking at here right now? Like,
Yeah.
you're getting
So,
started page?
Yep. So this is the getting started page. This is the documentation for you shopping cart, and it kind of clearly states you can use this with client mode for anyone who is using products coming straight from the Stripe dashboard. Like this is for you, and I get that. I have a Discord right now with you shopping cart for you shopping cart, and there are definitely people who I'm like, okay, what backend are you using? Like what, they're like, oh, I don't got one. I'm just using Stripe's dashboard. And so this is for them. And then there's checkout session mode where, you could use Stripe's dashboard for your products, but if you needed to bring something from whatever else, you needed a more custom solution, like this is for you. And so both of these pages more or less look the same. They just kind of detail like the setup process. So like, it talks about like the mode you want to use. Again, it's like showing the cart provider wrapper that goes around the whole thing. And then if you look at like, if you go back and then you go to the checkout session, it talks about like, it has Netlify functions here. I should probably have something for Vercel as well. And you could see I updated this actually as soon as it was available, the session URL that comes back for checkout instead of using redirect to checkout on the front end.
Yeah.
So this is basically like getting you there. And then something that's really cool, my favorite thing about this website is that it's actually interactive. So you have your functions, you have like add item. And so you can see bananas. So let me clear this.
Cool. So you can like demo the API in the browser.
Exactly.
That's very cool.
So, you hit add to cart and you can see what the cart looks like. So this is obviously the ID for the bananas. All the information that you would want to display for both the product and the cart itself. So like the value is 400. And then if you hit add to cart again, everything like doubles in price. And you can add like by 10. So there's like a API for add item where you can like pass an optional number. I think this code here is literally what's being used. But yeah, so you can see add item, and then you have this object that has count in it, and that's how it adds by 10. And then if you wanted to add price metadata with Stripe, sometimes you want to make sure you want to keep track of certain things. Mm-hmm. There's a taco place in Canada, a taco truck that uses you shopping cart under the hood, and they use the metadata to keep track of the toppings that people are.
Oh,
yeah.
That's the most unique use case for metadata I have ever heard. It's usually just like, this is a key we have in our DB. That's way better.
Yeah, that person. Because of that person, like the metadata feature for you shopping cart is like really beefed up. Like it's like they're because they had to write their own super weird solution to handle things that way. And so because of their feedback, that's one feature that got added because of a food truck in Canada.
That's pretty cool. Sounds like they owe you some free tacos too.
They should. I don't even think they know I exist. So you can see right here, product data, type fruit. And then I don't know why I put that for price metadata. Price metadata. I use the same data, it's test data, whatever. I use the same exact thing for both objects. And then if you go over to like increasing or decreasing is like decrement item. So remove 1 bananas. I know that's a thing there, but you can move 10 at a time. You can increase. You could load cart. So let's say you had somebody wanted to, you can add a whole entire here. Let me just hit the button. So like a whole entire product, like a cart data gets added into the current cart data. And so this is to prepare for, and I'm not quite there yet, but this is to prepare for if someone had authentication and someone made a setup like their shopping cart, but they didn't finish the purchase. You know, they come back and log in, then you want to use load cart. But there's some back end issues and stuff I have to think through for this for now.
Okay.
And
question for you then on that same note. Is there functionality, or would it make sense for there to be functionality to persist to local storage in the browser?
It already does. That was another reason why I switched to Redux. Like, I mean, actually, that's something that's not really hard to do anyway, but Redux has a whole ecosystem for persisting. And so I use Redux Persist. The thing that I love about that too is that it also works in React Native. So, so by using Redux under the hood, I have like all this extra functionality in places where I don't even have to think about it.
That's perfect.
So yeah, it does persist. There's no shopping cart right now doesn't take care of any kind of authentication stuff. So at least the least it could do is like local storage.
Yeah. Okay.
Unfortunately, the checking out items and redirect to checkout actually don't work. That's because on the demo site, that's because I had it using client side only mode, and then I think like that Stripe account died. I have like so many fake Stripe accounts, so it's like I stopped using it, and I don't know where it is right now.
So I want to make sure we're clear. You have a lot of demo Stripe accounts.
I do.
Yeah, that sounds better than fake Stripe accounts. I don't want you to go to jail.
My bad.
Yeah, it's just
a lot of demo Stripe accounts.
I didn't mean to say fake. Yeah, please.
Okay, I want to take care of you, man. I want to make sure we're good.
Please don't arrest me. But yeah, so that's that. I do have well, I don't know if you or anyone else has any questions or anything. I do have like a small little website, so you can kind of see if I should. I don't know if I should move to that or if there's anything else you want to see here.
I'm actually curious about one thing. So I'm not a React developer. So,
okay.
So excuse me if I like misspeak, but is there like a thing? There's like browser tools that like show your React state, right? Like browser development tools that like React specific browser development tools. Does this, I guess, since it plugs into Redux, does it work with a lot of those existing development tools, or is there something special that has to happen?
So Redux does have its own kind of console for
like inspecting the state.
Yeah. I don't know. So I got a new laptop. So I don't even know if I set it up on this yet, but there's like Redux. I have a Redux tab here. And so you can see the state logic.
Okay, got it.
And all that. Like you can see what happens after I click add item and stuff and load cart. It gives you all the state changes. I also have like a middleware through Redux. I forgot what the middleware does, but it does do important things. I promise you. I feel like I have to look at the code now to remember. But the middleware is actually what helps handles the checkout process.
Okay.
Cool.
Going to Stripe checkout, yeah.
One of the things I noticed is like the objects look somewhat similar to like how objects are created with the Stripe API, but the IDs are different. So like, is it at all one-to-one, or is it like, do they just kind of like rhyme a little bit?
So first of all, the way I designed this library, Stripe was the end goal from the beginning. And so like I think that's what you're seeing is like, that was the goalpost. And so instead of like kind of building this shopping cart thing and then like, oh, choose Stripe to go to, it's like, this is how Stripe handles and manages their objects and their data. So it makes sense to just consistently be that way from the very beginning. As far as the ID stuff, with checkout session, it doesn't matter what you have as an ID as long as it's unique, right? But if you did want to use your, there's still situations where people use the product data from Stripe's dashboard, but they still use serverless or something. So they would still use those IDs anyway.
Got it.
So I don't know if that answers your question or makes things make sense.
It does, because
Yeah.
I'm like looking at it. I'm like, this is pretty useful. Like I can imagine a situation where I'm like, what if, like, even if I didn't use checkout? Now I don't know if this has happened before, but like, what if I wasn't using checkout? I'm building my own checkout experience, but I want the shopping cart logic just so I can get like, I can handle what's being added, what's being subtracted. Yep. I can get the amount, and then I can pass that to my back end and create my payment intent and stuff. I don't know.
That is a request that happens a lot of people. Some people ask if they can use this without Stripe. And that's usually places that would love to use Stripe, but it's not available in their country at the moment or something like that.
Yeah.
And so the answer is yes. You could just not check out the Stripe, right? But I do plan on releasing. So there's 2 cart modes right now. There's checkout session and client mode. And so I do plan on having like maybe letting people pass a custom mode. And with custom mode, you won't get the TypeScript errors of like, hey, you're missing this, you're missing that. Custom mode will just kind of let you get only the shopping cart logic. And you can use it for whatever until Stripe is available in those countries.
So I know you mentioned a few times throughout this that there are a couple of things that you'd love to do to kind of like help push this forward a little bit, like, TypeScript support and like some of these other things. Mm-hmm. Do you have like in your GitHub, like if you're supposed to go to the GitHub for you shopping cart right now, would there be a up for grabs, good first issue? Like, do you have like labeled tasks for people that are like, hey, I really like this library, I'd love to contribute. Where could I get started? What can I do to help you, take this to where you envision it going?
Yeah, so I do have there in the very beginning, you see all these tags and stuff like that was me and some other contributor kind of putting up issues on things we wanted to do. Like some of these are super old, like literally this is from 2020. But like something that kind of says that you've interacted with the cart. This I could probably close. My bad. I haven't looked at this in a grip. I'm not gonna lie. But look, I have like Svelte, Vue, Angular integrations. That was like a year ago. And like, I don't know. There's definitely issues that I intentionally opened up to have those types of discussions. A lot of those were like to get where I'm at now. Like a lot of these are closed. There's like 73 closed issues, and I do put things out there where I'm like looking for help. Oh man, these are all Dependabot. Oh my god.
I got attacked by Dependabot the other day, so I get it.
Yeah, it's rough.
I feel you.
So my thing with contributions is like, so first of all, I am very happy to get contributors and whatnot, but I also just have this belief that people should kind of come and go as they please. Especially since like I would feel really bad if people were working on things in this library that they weren't excited about. And so I don't necessarily do anything very intentional to try to get more people. But what I do like to do is, and you probably see me on Twitter do this a few times, I'll open up like an issue and say, yo, I'm about to try to do this thing. I have no idea what I'm doing. But here's the issue. If anyone wants to throw some suggestions my way. And I have gotten a few pull requests that way. And then other times I wouldn't get anything, which is also totally fine, because I would much rather someone very genuinely want to work on this, versus anything else.
So it's almost like you're fine with like the one-off PRs and issues and stuff like that. But like what you're saying is you don't want to tie anybody to feel like you have to give me this amount of code per week. What I mean? But if you want to send me a PR here and there or help with some samples or fix some docs and stuff like that, like you're totally fine jumping in that way.
Exactly. And I try to support everyone. I've had people like say, hey, like I would love to enable this. And I'm like, oh my God, that's great. Please like join the Discord. Let's talk about it. Like I'm willing to answer whatever questions. I try to do as much as I possibly can. And some people, even that's not enough to get them to do it, or like some people take me up on that. They're like, hey, what's this roll up thing? And I'm like, shoot, I don't know. And then like we end up getting on our way. We work our way through it, and it ends up happening.
Got it. So Charles, I know you've been playing around with Vue.js. We're supposed to be talking about React. Don't get mad at me. We know you've been playing around with Vue a little bit, but since Nick was talking about like taking the library in a direction where it's kind of like agnostic to React, and like just, I mean, if you could work with Redux, you could hopefully work with anything. Do you think this is something that you could use in like some of your demos and try it out and be like, well, hey, let me see how this feels like with Vue, or name your framework X, whatever people are using, and then use that now. Now we could send Nick some like feedback, right? Like, oh, okay, well, I tried this thing with, I don't know, reactive properties, or with, Vuex or something like that, and like this is what the result was. You know what I mean? Would that like, would those types of scenarios be helpful for you?
I would say so. Like, I'm looking at this right now and I'm like, how do I use this for my next project? Because again, to Nick's point, shopping cart logic sucks. Like, I'm not trying to do it.
It's not fun.
It's not. It's the opposite of fun. It's like that in forms for the bane of my existence. I want no part of it.
Forms.
So yeah, I'm definitely going to try and do this in Vue. Like with Vue, like, I've used like Vuex. I've like played around with Pina, or I feel like I'm not saying that right. Whatever.
I think it's Pina.
Is it Pina?
Pina? I don't know.
Yeah.
People know what we're talking about. They'll figure it
out. State store, right? And so like, I think you can just use Redux straight away with with Vue, and it just works.
So I did do a lot of research. So just because the NPR has been open for 2 years don't mean I didn't look at them, right? I didn't look into it. From what I understand, so Vue, it is possible to use Redux with Vuex, but it's not, from what I heard, it's not very native to Vue users right now. And so it might feel janky, and I don't exactly know what, I'm not a Vue person, so I don't know what that pain looks like, or how it could be addressed. But from a high level, the way I see it, it's like there's got to be a way, because Redux is super small at the end of the day, and there's got to be a way and at the end of the day, it's all of it is JavaScript.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, there's got to be some kind of way to output from Redux in a way that feels native to Vue.
I saw a binding of some sort, some way to bind like Redux to Vuex, but I could just be making that up. But I
saw
like
that too. Yeah. But I don't know. I don't remember what that was. So, I mean, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to figuring out, like, this is a goal of mine, so Angular, Vue, Svelte, whatever it is, at the end of the day, they're all using JavaScript. Yeah, I would love to see that kind of support, and you'll probably be the first person I'll come to like just to test it out and get some feedback or something, because I'm very much in the React ecosystem.
Yeah, for sure. So I know we're running low on time. We have about another 15 minutes or so, and I wanted to make sure we gave you time to talk about like some of the stuff that you're doing with BlackTech Pipeline.
Yes.
I know that's like one of your big projects. I know you're super excited about it. You and the missus have been working on it for a while. So we'd definitely love to hear like some updates about like what's happening there.
Yeah. So again, BlackTech Pipeline. So right now it's a job board. It's focused on getting Black technologists into the tech opportunities. It's for anyone. It doesn't have to be developers only, designers, data science, whatever. And so my fiance has been running this business for about a year so far, maybe longer, and business has been great. Business is booming. And so when I built this website for her, and this is the part that's not fair, right? Because I've always wanted to be that person to launch a website and then make money off of it and work on it full time. Yeah. So I built the website, and then she got to do the rest of the stuff. Yeah. Which she quit her job and she could pursue this full time.
Right.
And so now so just to show you the job board, this is built with Gatsby, and it uses MDX. And I'll choose Audible first. So you have like all this data is coming from an markdown file. And what makes this job board super unique is MDX. Most job boards you go to, this very static amount of information. It's like, salary, benefits, just like listing the like.
Yeah, like bullet points of stuff.
Yeah, it's almost like metadata, right?
Yeah.
But with MDX, we're given the flexibility of letting her clients use their own voice and use their own branding. So that's like the Audible page. There's one page has like a video at the top. So there's like all kinds of like customization. You see, we got Instagram on here.
Yeah.
So these are all customers too, right?
These are customers. These are her
paying customers.
These are the people who are paying her right now.
Okay.
And so we're going for a huge. I think this one. Look, Vox Media had to be different and get a whole banner. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the type of stuff I mean. Like, this stuff is much easier to do when you have something like MDX under the hood.
So just really quickly too, like, because you mentioned MDX a couple of times. And so for folks that are watching that might not know, MDX is Markdown plus JSX or JavaScript and HTML. Is that what it is? Right?
It's JSX. It basically gives you React powers in Markdown.
Markdown. Okay.
Yeah. So business has been great, but she's experiencing some growing pains. So she does have the job board, and she has a recruitment model. Where she does sourcing for a company, and that's there's no visibility there. They're just like signing contracts with her in the shadows and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so the recruitment part is hard because Airtable, we have about 2,000 Black technologists in the Airtable database. And Airtable, I love Airtable. I just need to say that I really respect Airtable for what it is. It's just not sustainable for growth, especially when there's no kind of way to let people log in and update their current information. Like, there's people in there with 2 or 3 entries because something changed, in the data. You know what I'm saying? So long story short, it's not scalable. It's not maintainable. So it makes sense to have a backend, a real backend. And so what we want to do with this new recruitment experience, also, she's just one person, right, doing all the recruitment. And so she has, right now, there's 70 potential clients who want to use her recruitment service.
Yeah.
There's no way she'll be able to help all of them.
As an individual person, yeah.
So with this we want to build a recruitment platform that allows employers to search the database anonymously. And if the data looks good enough, if the information on the anonymous candidate looks enticing enough, they can communicate like, hey, we'd like to talk to you. Is that cool? And the candidate will be able to respond to links through email, links that say yes or no.
Okay. So the employer, right, like you said, like searches anonymously. But at that point, when they say, whenever they kick off the automation and the email gets sent to like the person that's looking for the job, I'm guessing the person that's looking is going to be like, oh, okay, company X, blah, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Nick, Stripe, whoever, they're interested in talking to you. Do you want to connect? Yes or no? Right?
Exactly. And
an option.
It also shows them what roles that the person hiring thinks they could be good for. So it doesn't have to be one role. You might look at someone and be like, okay, this person probably be a great software engineer, but maybe they'd be interested in dev advocacy too, right?
Nice.
And so you can send multiple roles, and they're listed. It's like, here are the roles that they think you'd be good for. And the person hits yes, and that's when the employer will get an email saying with the person's contact information, because you're giving them consent. Like, we don't have permission to share any of the data we have, and so we're giving them consent.
Got it.
The ability to consent to chatting.
It's like Bumble in a way.
So on that note, On that note, so we got a comment from someone in the chat. Abdul Salam has a question or a comment, and he says, if I could give a suggestion, check if you could use a CMS for your backend. So would that be a thing that would be applicable for how your application is set up? Could you do like a headless CMS type situation?
Depending on what they're talking about, for recruitment, no, because the users need to be able to update stuff and whatever. So I actually am using a CMS for this, the Markdown.
Okay.
I'm using Forestry. Forestry is free, and I think they have a direct integration, or they directly support MDX. So when Paris wants to update the website or any of the job board things, she just hops on Forestry and handles it from there.
Got it. Nice. Well, this is really awesome, and I'm definitely looking forward to, like, as you all like expand the brand, right, and start doing a lot more cool stuff. And hopefully too, like, we could start doing some more work together as, you know, you build some more things with You Shopping Cart as well. Before we go, do you have any things you want to share with folks? Podcasts you might be on, Twitter Spaces you're doing, website links, you know, that type of stuff?
Oh man, I should have thought of this. You know what? I will give a shout out to 100 Devs. Again, earlier I said 100 Devs is a free online bootcamp being done on Twitch by Leon. Leon Noel is his name. And the Twitch channel is Learn with Leon. And it's amazing. So first of all, he teaches the curriculum at Resilient Coders, which is another boot camp focused on getting Black people in tech, and it pays them to learn how to code. So you can see a theme with me, you know what I'm saying? And so he is running this boot camp. He's more or less teaching the Resilient Coders curriculum, and he's hoping to get 100 devs jobs. I think they're on like 80 or 90 right now, through his boot camp. It's the most wholesome community for coding I've ever seen. He's got a massive Discord, and everyone there is helping. Even people, like, if you join and you had no idea how to code, you'll be getting help from people who are only a week ahead of you or a week or two ahead of you. Like, everyone's really just holding it down for each other in that Discord.
Nice. Cool. Well, definitely love to hear from those folks at some point. Maybe we could have them on the show one day, Charles, and we can chat up with them and see.
I would love to see Leon on here. I can talk to him about it. He's just extremely hard to lock down right now. But I could set that up. I'll do my best to set that up for y'all.
All right, cool. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that offline.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I think we're done, right? I think we're good to go. Nick, thank you so much for being on, and for everyone that's still here hanging out with us. Thank you all for watching this stream of Stripe Dev Chats. Again, we're here every other Wednesday. Today's Wednesday, right? We're here every other Wednesday. So we're not going to be here next week, but make sure you come and hang out with us the week after. We're going to have more great guests talking about a lot of cool things that, you know, our community is building inside of the world of Stripe. So again, thank you all for watching, and see you all in 2 weeks.
See you.